All right, good afternoon, everyone. Calling the Southborough Board of Health meeting to order at 12:01 p.m. on Wednesday, June 11th, 2025. All board members are present. We do have a public hearing posted for 12:10, and I do have to stick to that time start. So I'm going to take the next item out of order just so that we can keep things moving. Approval of the 5/6/25 meeting minutes. Does anybody have any changes on those? All right, I move we approve the whatever date that was, 5/6/25 meeting minutes as presented.
Second vote aye.
Zuluk, aye.
Malinowski's aye. Thank you. All right, reorganization of the board. So this is our first meeting after the election. So welcome back, Safdar. Thank you for rejoining us for your next term. We're very happy that worked out. And so typically we go chair, vice chair, secretary. So does anybody want to be chair?
Do we get to nominate you, Chelsea, or do you just have to volunteer yourself? How does that work exactly?
I mean, I'm totally fine if anybody else wants to do it. Like I am happy to have somebody else if you want to.
I don't think anyone else would be happy for that to happen.
Think
Okay.
if you're okay with continuing, we're again okay to help as needed with all duties.
All right. I mean, that's
Mhm.
fine. I'm happy to do it. I just don't want anyone to ever think that like I wouldn't be open to somebody else doing it either. So, okay. All right. So happy to do it. Anybody want it? We'll just do the motion all at once because I don't think it's going to be, I think that's just easier. Does anybody want to be vice chair?
I can continue doing that. That'll be
Okay.
Yeah.
Liz, you good with secretary?
Yeah.
You're supposed to be
Liz, you
taking
want vice
meeting
chair,
minutes,
Liz?
Liz,
You want
just
vice chair?
FYI.
I thought Barbara takes the minutes. That's
No,
why
I'm just teasing you.
there's even a secretarial role here is what I was my head. I was like, obviously I've been crushing it.
Your
the
new
past-
duty.
All right. So
Liz, if you want vice chair, it's all yours. It's
You know
not
what?
worth-
After you've been doing so great at it that I
Mhm.
think I don't need to step into that. So
all right. So I'll move that Chelsea Malinowski is chair, Safdar Medina is vice chair, and Liz Zulik is secretary. Is there a second?
Second, aye.
Zuluk, aye.
Malinowski is aye. All right. Reappoint tobacco control program manager. So Pari, I think, is actually on, but he's part of the, and Taylor can keep me honest here, the Metro West Tobacco Collaborative that we've used for the last several years. I think we've had Pari for 2 years, maybe.
This might be his third, but he can speak for
Okay.
himself.
Okay. Pari, I can bring you over if you want to talk about anything. So this is just a yearly appointment that we need to make sure that we do so that our inspections can continue and Pari can continue to do the great work that he does for us. And he just needs to go and get sworn in by the town clerk's office. So welcome, Pari. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for having me.
So before I ask you to give a yearly update, Pari, I'm just gonna move so that you can get to the clerk's office. So I move, and Pari, can you help me with your last name? Pari, can you tell me your last name?
Yeah.
don't-
Parivallal Thillai Govindan.
Hmm.
Thillai Govindan. You can call me Pari.
Collegiova? Okay.
Thillai Govindan. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm gonna botch it, but okay. So I move that Pari Collegiova be appointed as our tobacco control program manager for FY26. Is there a second?
Second and vote aye.
Zuluk, aye.
And Malinowski's aye. Okay. Pari, do you want to give us an overview of
Chelsea,
Your
I
yearly-
just forwarded an email to you with pictures that Pari took. If you can
okay.
share your screen of those.
Okay, yep. Give me 1 second.
Sure. I don't know, the audio is,
Hmm.
Pari, I'm not sure, but it says that you're on 2 devices
Mhm.
in the
Oh,
meeting.
I'm gonna remove you. Or try to. Not rename, remove. All right, try it again, Pari.
yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Much better.
much better.
Okay. Yeah, so as tobacco control agent for Southborough, I do the inspections and educational visit for each retails. We have 9 retails as of now in Southborough, um, uh, including we don't have a adult only store. We only have gas stations, convenience store, and um, liquor store. Um, so the inspections and educational visit will be based on the training will be happening based on the state and local regulation, restricting the sale of tobacco, focusing on restricting the sale of um, tobacco to minors. We do the compliance check. It is an undercover. We use our youth inspectors to do undercover purchase of tobacco products to make sure the retails don't sell tobacco products to under the age of 21. And for the year fiscal year FY25, we didn't have any sale for minor in Southborough. So we are in the right position, and we finished our inspections last week, maybe 10 days back. So we found some flavored products available in the community. I have shared some pictures with the director Taylor, and I also wanted to give an update on what is happening in 16 communities in our collaborative. So Southborough is one among the 16 community under this grant from MTCP DPH. Um, uh, Concord, Westboro, and Norfolk, they have removed the flavored vape products and flavored nicotine pouches from the community. So as of now, the state MTCP DPH has mentioned clearly that the flavored tobacco product should be decided by the Board of Health in each communities, and there will not be any advisories from DPH regarding the tobacco flavors. So as of now, each Board of Health in the communities are encouraged to test the products by sniff test or opening the pack, smelling it. That is how Concord, Westboro, and Norfolk has decided them as flavored, and we have removed. If you see the power wall with the flavored products like Crave, Clear, or Max, all the products are flavored, which is being found in the community. Luckily, we don't have out of 9, I would say like 5 retails have them in place. One retail near the railway station, they have the maximum amount, the liquor store. And so I would suggest the board, um, I can bring in the products if the meeting happens in person, and the board can go for voting on that. But it is not suggested that based on other communities' decisions, we cannot. I cannot suggest Southborough board to go for a decision based on others. So I'd be happy to bring in all the products which are flavored, and if the board is willing to uh, smell or go for a decision on these products, I will be happy to enforce them or implement the policies in Southborough. As well as you can see the MIT 45 Super K. So these are Kratom products. Kratom products are also, it is not coming under tobacco, but since we are in the store, we see Kratom products coming sold more in the communities. Now, Kratom is becoming another opioid kind of product. It's increasingly seen in the communities. As of now, 4 communities in Massachusetts have banned Kratom in their communities. Recently, in our collaborative, Metro West has banned Kratom in community in their community. So that is the status now. Also, we are seeing products like nitrous oxide in cans, like um, what to say, which is used for food purpose or other purpose, but it is being abused for other purpose by adults and school kids for inhalation purpose, for So we are also removing such products from some of our collaboratives. So I just want to let the board know that these products are there in our community, and if any suggestions or decisions taken by the Board of Health on these products, I'll be happy to implement the enforcement on these products. If you have
So
any
just so that we can clarify, for any public who's watching, currently we ban flavored tobacco, right? In our current regulations, and so this would be going a step further.
Yeah, so I should give a background on that. In Massachusetts, June 2020 onwards, the flavor ban for all tobacco products is in place. But these products has come into the communities across Massachusetts with different flavors. But the manufacturer's document claim that these are not having any characteristic flavor in them. So we have not touched this product until recently. But when we open the pack and smell it, it has all different flavors, fruit flavors or chocolate or mint or any flavors. Like it is there everywhere. Even though
Okay.
the manufacturer's document claim that doesn't have any flavors, they do all have flavors. The consumer know that what they are buying, but the retailers claim that it says clear, so it is not flavored. The distributors tell that these are not flavored, and the manufacturing document says it is not flavored. So that is why we are getting the information or direction from the state. Let the Board of Health decide on the flavors, and they can implement, and you can enforce these policies locally.
So does
Yeah.
that mean we would have to pass our own regulation basically specifically geared and targeted to these products? So I guess we could
Yes,
look at
it will be
that.
specifically this targeted to the products like
So-
Crave Clear. Yeah.
Got it. So that would also include Zins, right? Because Zins are probably not under the current tobacco flavor.
Yes. So yeah,
Zins- So
I should also. Yeah, that is a good point.
Mhm.
What Sapta said. So Zinchel is a very critical, product which is being attracted by the school kids and especially the sports uh, uh, playing students. Concord made a decision of removing Zinchel from the community. They have banned Zinchel, and Needham has banned Zinchel in their community as well. And for your information, state of California has banned Zinchel since January 2025 onwards, mentioning any chilling effect or cooling effect come or included in their flavors. But our regulation doesn't claim or say anything like that. So in Massachusetts, it's still the local Board of Health taking decision on these products. And like Zinchel, we are having like 15 to 20 nicotine pouches nowadays, like Velo, Brixen. I can bring all these products to you, but all the products are not in Southborough, but we see in other communities. But I'll be happy to bring the other available products Southborough to have a look and smell them. And yeah, and another update is when Concord removed Essential from the community, we had a legal team from Swedish Match, who is the manufacturer, and the parent company is Philip Morris. We had meetings with Concord Legal and Swedish Match Legal, and so it is still there. We have not got any follow up on what is, and the state is aware of what is happening on that line as well.
So I think it would be helpful, if we could, meet with you, Pari, in person to review the products. We typically meet, on Zoom, so I think we would just need to get back to you on a time. And my guess is it would not be over the summer.
Okay.
Just given everybody's, travel schedules.
Okay.
But I can work with, Saptar and Liz on, and maybe we will find a week, in July, that will work, but we can work offline and let you know. Are there limitations in terms of your schedule, on when you could meet with us?
No, I'm with the Board of Health. Whenever the time provided by Board of Health, I'll be ready to. show
Okay.
up. Yeah.
Okay. Great.
And just to inform one more thing before I complete, MHOA always every year they update the local Board of Health regulations. We have the latest FY25 updated regulations, which has new definitions and which restricts nicotine pouches milligram. So we find milligrams like 3 milligram to 15 milligram nicotine pouches in the communities. So we can also look into that and restrict the milligram of the nicotine content in nicotine pouches. As an update, Hopkinton recently removed nicotine pouches from their community. Mentioning that it can be sold only in adult-only stores. Hopkinton doesn't have an adult-only store, so I'm just sharing that information.
Okay, great. And Safdar, to answer your question, I think all we would need to do is we already have local tobacco regulations that we've adopted, and under the Board of Health, we have the authority to hold a public hearing and update those regulations to exclude those products if that's what we choose to do. So we do not need to go to town meeting on that.
Sure.
And that's how we've handled it in the past, and I think there's no issue with updating those regs.
Perfect.
Okay, great. All right.
And Pari and I are meeting this afternoon to go over everything in person, and then what we talk about, I can bring back to our next meeting.
Okay, awesome. So Pari, we'll get you a date to meet with us.
Sure. Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Pari.
That was
Have a
very
good rest of your day.
informative. Thank you.
Thank you.
So now I'm going to go back to our public hearing. Sorry. So, oh, you know what? Just give me 1 second. I just need to pull up the public notice. Okay. So I'm going to open the public hearing at 12:18 p.m. and I'm going to read the notice of public hearing into the record. The Southborough Board of Health will hold a virtual public meeting on Wednesday, June 11th, 2025, starting at 12:10 p.m. This meeting may be watched, or residents may participate in the meeting remotely with the meeting link at https://ma-southborough.civicplus.com/674/virtual-meetings. It will also be recorded and available on YouTube. The meeting will include a vote on the East Main Street project. This notice will also be posted at the Southborough Town Hall. Written comments may be mailed prior to the vote to the Health Department at 9 Corderville Road, lower level, Southborough, Mass. 01772. This legal notice is also posted through legals@wickedlocal.com. Okay, so with that, we're going to open the hearing, and I'm going to move Mr. Bemis over. And Barbara, did you receive any written correspondence in the Health Department?
No.
Okay, I did not receive any electronic correspondence either. So welcome back, Mr. Bemis.
Hi, thank you. Good afternoon.
And we also have Dennis Costello and Chris Craig on, who work in this arena in the Health Department for us. So this is a repeat of the public hearing that we had in April, because there was some communication issues with the abutter notifications. So we are redoing this. And Peter, this is the plans are the same as what we reviewed in April, correct?
Yes, the only update was that you had asked for some specific language onto the plan, which I had then forwarded right after the meeting. I never got an official action from Dennis, and that's the plan that I was going to exhibit. But if I need to, I can, refer back to the other plan. That the only thing is you'll see in red the key things that you asked for.
Okay.
So we'll just leave it at that, is that, those red things are the things you asked for.
That is correct. However,
Okay.
I think I was hoping to get them before the last meeting. And the only reason I said to use the plan from the last meeting was because that was the plan that the board looked at. The original plan. But you're absolutely correct. Those are the only two things that are on that new plan, is those two statements. So.
And that was related to the conditional vote that we took on the approved plan, Dennis?
Yes.
Okay. But nothing else changed other than what the board requested?
No, nothing else has changed on that plan.
Okay.
Correct.
So I think the board's pretty well versed in this hearing now, but Peter, if you can take a couple of minutes just for the public to
Okay.
give an overview of where we're at, and then I'll have Dennis weigh in. Thank you.
Okay, great. So again, the initial submittal was the March 25th, 2025 packet, which included all of the documentation of the history of the project and then the desire to switch over to a newer technology that we just weren't aware of back when we did this project in 07, which was the Good Flow Solutions product. And the Good Flow Solutions product would allow us to provide a greater setback to wetlands, to the intermittent stream channel, and to improve the treatment of the effluent, as well as what we sought was the expansion to accommodate up to the 880 gallons, which we had documented through the historical use of the property being well within what had been uses for the last 100+ years. The history of that was documented in the 2025 packet. We went through all of that. The latest incarnation was the 3-bay service center that had been there, fuel station. And what we didn't have back in 07 was the downtown zoning district, which we are still in the process of trying to negotiate through that with the planning board. We actually had stayed all of our applications with them because the critical piece is this Board of Health component at this point. The Conservation Commission did grant us an extension to our valid order of conditions. We're good through July of 27. And the Board of Health action at the last meeting got us to where we needed to be. But because we had to repeat this, we just tabled everything with the planning board. Because unfortunately that process is one we've had to struggle through to put things forward and then to have to bring them back. I.e. that we had thought we could do a mixed use, but that use is not available because of the way the definitions are prepared in zoning. And there was no attempt to change that at annual town meeting in the spring. So the proposal is to go forward with an apartment project. And as part of that apartment project, we will have one affordable unit. That is a mandate in the zoning bylaw. And so for the first 8 units, we would need to have one affordable unit, and therefore 8 units is sort of critical here for us to be able to make this financially viable. We've gone through a global economic recession since owning this. We've gone through a global pandemic since owning this. You folks have had to deal with it. We've had to deal with it. And now we're finally at a point where I think we can maybe get somewhere. Hopefully that the current administration doesn't turn this into another global crisis. The tariffs hurt. That's hurting a lot of projects that we're dealing with now. I can't say as though the financial viability is there yet until we know what the costs are going to be, because some of these tariffs were 25 and 50% on certain products. But the bottom line here is that there's no project without having the effluent flow at this point. So that's really where I'm at, is that we're revisiting what we did in April. I'd be happy to deeper with this. I have my illustrations that I had for the last meeting. If need be, I can bring those back up. I wasn't going to try to go through the whole scenario again, but I am capable of doing that if that's what's needed. I would ask you to ratify what we did back in April, and thank you for the opportunity to present this again.
Thank you, Peter. And just to remind everyone, or for anybody new watching, in April, we did not grant a variance. So we voted to allow an increase in flow than what was already requested based on historical information that was provided to the Board of Health. So in that case, we're actually doing a hearing, but we legally do not have to do a hearing for this particular position that we're going to take. But as chair, I did not want to make any assumptions for the original meeting that we were going to take a vote and not vote a variance. So just for the public who may be a little bit confused as to why we're doing a hearing and not voting a variance. And I do have the language that we voted last time, Peter, so we can take that up when the time's needed. Dennis, anything else to add from your perspective before I go to any comments?
No, just to reiterate that we did go through both systems. Peter brought these plans in back in February. We looked at the system that was approved by the board back in 2018. And the new plan, we found that the new plan does have some good attributes to it. It offers the same or better protection for the groundwater. And basically, he proved that that site did have a flow of around 900 gallons of water, of effluent. Therefore, the board can approve that plan by right, not by a variance. So that's pretty much where we are right now. Same place.
Great. Any comments from the board before I go to the public? Okay, I think most of us probably got our questions answered in the last hearing. So for anybody who's in the audience, if you have any comments that you want the board to hear prior to us taking a position, feel free to raise your hand and I'll bring you over to speak. And if you don't mind, if you can just give me your name and address for the record, that would be great. So I'm not sure how to pronounce, but it's M-A-U-M-K.
Yeah, Steve Morrow.
Oh, hi,
Morrow's
Steve. How are you?
Cafe. Good, how are you?
Good, thank you.
My biggest concern, and I brought this up at several meetings, I don't know how many years we've been at the town hall with this project, but it's been a long time. Probably 40, 50 meetings. I'm not sure, PD, you probably know better than me. But my biggest concern downtown is, number one, we have a drainage problem already. But number two, the even bigger problem is the water table downtown. When the water table gets so high, several of us continually pump out our basement constantly. We've had several issues where we're pumping out, the basements have been full. And my biggest concern is that this project is going to add another 880 gallons worth of water into the water table that's already at its breaking point.
Dennis, can you speak from a perspective of the water table and how that would impact the system that we could currently do versus the increase that we're looking to do here?
Yeah, so basically the water table is definitely the water table. This will contribute to the groundwater. Will it contribute to the water table is another thought. Not necessarily accurate. So basically what we're doing is taking the effluent, which may be 800 gallons a day, maybe 400 gallons a day. You're taking parking lot water, whatever is coming off of there. You're putting that into the ground somewhere. And so, yes, eventually everything gets to the groundwater table. Does it elevate the groundwater table? I would say no. The groundwater elevation is going to be at the same elevation whether that 800 gallons is there or not. It's spread out. It's not like we're putting 800 gallons of water into one area. The water table is spread out over miles. And yes, that particular corner and area of the town is definitely, quote, underwater. However, the way plans are approved and designed, we follow Title V, the code, and this meets Title V, the code, as far as separation of groundwater and what it can put out. So I don't see any negative lasting effects from that system.
Especially if you compare it to what Peter could just do today versus what he's asking for in this.
Okay, so the difference between what's already approved and today is actually 134 gallons, I believe. That's a figure. So that's the actual, that's what you're looking at then, is the 134 gallons. What is the 134 gallons going to do?
Mhm.
I would say not a lot.
And with the increase in the buffer zone by using this system, does that have any impact either way?
I would say no.
Okay,
no.
okay. All right. Steve, do you have any other comments?
Yeah, I have one other comment.
Okay.
I've been talking to the town for a long time as far as the drainage in the center of town. I've actually walked it with the superintendent of the highway department. And there was some corrugated pipes that ran along the railroad tracks, taking the water from those wet areas near this property and bringing them down past our cafe. And the CSX decided to solve that problem by putting 3 feet of tar over these pipes. So now the water just sits. And again, what it does is it goes into the water table, increasing the water table in the center of town, causing us more issues. And I don't agree with Dennis. I just feel as though unless this is a tight tank that's going in, this 880 gallons of water is going to increase the water table for all of us downtown. And I think to make a decision, knowing that, it's not right. It shouldn't be happening. I mean, originally.
Well, it sounds like there's a larger issue, Steve, that you're referencing.
There is, but why,
Yeah.
but my question to you is why add more water to a problem that you know is already happening? I mean, to me, that's, you're acting, I mean, it's common sense, really, if you look at it. If you got a soup bowl that's full, you put more soup in it so it overflows?
So I just asked Dennis, who's our expert in this area, on if it were to increase by the 134 that we're talking about right now, would that have a negative impact on what's already in existence? Now, I didn't ask him, is the system that we're putting in that's already available to Peter to use going to have a negative impact? So what's on the table for the Board of Health right now is that increase. And I feel like that's what is within the Board of Health's discretion right now, not what Peter can do currently.
Correct.
Well, I just think having the knowledge that you have, you'd be acting in not good faith for the existing businesses downtown to approve this.
Okay, well, I have to disagree with that. I don't think it's within our
It's
purview.
not your basement, it's not your basement that.
But what you're saying is that you have an issue with drainage in that area today already.
Right, so why are you
So-
adding another 880 gallons a day?
So there's other things that need to be solved to fix that issue.
And what is the, when is the time frame for that gonna happen?
That is not within the Board of Health's jurisdiction.
Well,
So I
that might be
can't answer
something
that.
something that you might wanna consider is to not approve this for that reason.
Okay. Do you have any other comments before I go to the next person?
Nope, I just wanted you to be aware of the situation, so when you make this decision, you'll have done it with knowledge.
Understood. Thank you very much for coming. Is there anybody else in the public that has any comments or questions? All right. Peter has his hand up. Go ahead, Peter.
Thank you. I just wanted to add that it's not just Dennis that has weighed in on this matter about stormwater. DPW engineer for the town of Southborough wrote an extensive report, went out to look at the site, corroborated the design approach that we have. We've gone through peer review with an independent firm, third-party firm, Bussin O'Neill, that's reviewed all of this, corroborated the evidence that we provided and supported it. We've really put a lot of thought into how we're doing this and to respond appropriately. There are some issues on the west side of those railroad tracks. Those buildings are old. They weren't designed with any sort of drainage systems to support them. And that's what Mr. Morrow has more of an experience with. On the east side where we're located, there's a drainage pipe it is a viable pipe. It does cross the street. It does discharge at the back of the Lamy property. And there is, on our site, we are mitigating our stormwater impact. We are not going to affect that property any further. And I just want that to be on the record of this board so that you're not necessarily having to rely 100% on Dennis, which I believe you should. But at the same time, that the independent parties and also other town officials have reviewed this and weighed in on this. So thank you.
Okay, thank you. Safdar and Liz, any comments? Good, Safdar.
No, I was gonna say, I'm still, Peter's explained everything quite well.
Liz.
I do want to make sure I understand this correctly. So there is an ongoing issue that Mr. Morrow was speaking to, that this, based on all of the information that we have, will not exacerbate the existing problem.
From my perspective, I do not believe we are going to impact Mr. Morrow one bit.
So I think it's hard when you're talking about water to say it like that.
We have a
Because
4-foot separation for the soil absorption system. What Mr. Morris focused on is the soil absorption system, and we have a 4-foot offset to groundwater. We never even took advantage of a local upgrade for that. We are doing what I should say all, because many don't in Southborough provide that separation, but most do. In Title V, the state ordinance that regulates this environmental impact of effluent finds that to be a suitable setback. I think as
so-
Dennis says, it's
Peter,
diluting.
I'm not gonna go tit for tat for you with
Okay.
you on I just think it's dangerous for us knowing that there's concerns around the drainage in general in that part of town, that I'm not comfortable sitting here and saying, if we were to do nothing with that parcel, then that's the best solution, because we're definitely not going to impact the water, right? However, right now, Peter can build a 6-unit apartment building, right? Now, if that was not available to Peter right now, I think we'd be having a different conversation. Because I think that if he was coming to if that 6-unit building was not allowed, and he's asking for a system to go on that parcel to get a variance from us, then I think it's a different conversation, because you're putting a system in. The way I'm looking at this is the system that Peter can do today by right, and the difference between the system he's asking for. So I think
Correct.
there's more risk in putting a system in at all than the increase of the system. So as I'm trying to frame what our purview and responsibility is right now as a Board of Health. And Dennis, you can feel free to jump in if you think
So the system itself, just by design, meets Title V. Okay? Separation of groundwater.
Yep.
How it's designed, that meets Title V. Presently, they have a system for the 746 gallons, and he would like to go up to 880 gallons. So as we talked about the first meeting, the only way to do that is with a variance
Yep.
to the Board of Health, which is under your purview. The other way, which was presented at the last meeting, was by right, because of the gallons per day that it had in use prior to today, which the board voted that they agreed with Peter that was the uses that were on that property.
Yep.
So as long as he meets Title V, then that is your purview, is to, I mean, you still have the option of not approving it, but the reason to approve it would be that he meets all the criteria for a septic system in the town of Southborough, based on where he is. And based on the fact that prior to this, he does have a variance to a tributary. So that was all done. So that's all pre-approved. So once again, you are looking at a system that either meets the code at the lower amount, or you agree that the property held a larger amount that we depicted earlier, and that would be approved by quote by right, by the fact that he meets all the criteria of the code. Groundwater is always involved in Title V, which is why we have the separations. So we look at the separation of groundwater between that. Tests were done earlier on that, depicted that the groundwater level was at a certain level. It's 4 feet above that. That's into code. That's what you can look at. The fact that the whole corner area down there has a drainage problem is definitely true. Nobody can say anything about that. Is it under the Board of Health purview? I would say probably not, to tell you the truth. I mean, in the long run, yes. But as what we're looking for as that particular septic system, then I would say no.
But I think it is incumbent upon us to have a discussion with DPW about the concerns around this area. Like I definitely
absolutely. I don't think
that
should be that's a real thing.
Yeah.
The problem is when you bring into a situation that now you're going to second guess the groundwater table down there, you're going to second guess the groundwater table for every system that's down there.
Right.
Is every system in failure now? I mean, that's, going on the other way, but is every system in that area of town at some point out of compliance? And I don't know that. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
So, you have to look at what you have and what the code says. And that's pretty much what you have in front of you. And like I say, is the 100 gallons of water going to increase the groundwater? Once again, yes, but by fractions of hundredths of an inch, spread out over even a small immediate area, even a half-acre area. You spread out 100 gallons and figure that out. And so the impact is minimal. I won't say it's negative. It's extremely minimal.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Morrow, I'm going to go back to you. Share your hand up. I'm asking you to unmute, but it's not. Oh,
Sorry.
there you go. Okay.
Did you hear the whole comment or did you miss all of it?
No, nothing. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. So what I'm saying is that I'm asking the board not to act grossly negligent in this because you've been made aware of the problem down there. So I'm asking you to please do not increase the problem down there. The storm drain that Peter's referring to that shoots over to Lamy's is in failure. I have stood there at the bank during a heavy thunderstorm and watched water bubble up out of that drain. It doesn't work. It doesn't even drain over to Lamy's anymore. So there are some serious drainage problems that I would really like the board to address before moving forward with this project.
Is that one that you've talked to the DPW superintendent about?
I did. I actually walked the downtown with the superintendent back in
Okay.
November, showing him all the nightmares of the correction of downtown that they made such a mess out of. and made it even worse instead of better when the last editions of everything went on.
And so does he have a potential solution for that particular?
I have not heard of one. I've talked to Kathy Cook on the select board. The
Yeah.
town was supposed to be working with CSX and trying to fix those corrugated pipes. And now what we have is 3 feet of tar instead.
That they put over on top of the pipe, you
They,
said?
they just buried the pipes.
All right, I'd just like to throw in one thing, okay, we're talking about two different water systems. You know,
Right,
You're talking about drainage, from storms, from water dropping. We're talking about, for the Title V, is at least what we see it at, we're talking about the water table, which is beneath. And yes, when water accumulates someplace, it does raise the water table. It takes a long time for that to happen. It doesn't happen tomorrow. Happens over time. But that's a different, you know, we it's not under your purview to stop thunderstorms or to stop precipitation.
right.
And unfortunately, and I'd say as unfortunately, we can look at drainage if it's going through that system, on top of the system, inundating that system, but not looking at the road, not looking at the area. I don't believe that's under the board, this board.
Yeah, I mean, I think we need to stay in our swim lane on what's within the Board of Health's jurisdiction. And I empathize with what Mr. Morrow's saying with the water issues downtown. But what we're looking at does not violate Title V. And those buffers are within compliance of what they need to be to then not negatively impact drainage. Because it's not like the septic system is then going to feed out past into the drainage, right? So,
Hope not.
well, if that happens, then we have a
Yeah,
big
no,
problem,
that's very true. Very true.
right? So I'm just trying to, you know, because I appreciate that Mr. Morrow came in, is expressing his concerns. I'm just trying to kind of categorize how we can deal with them. So I'm struggling with trying to solve for a problem that we don't have control over, and not approve something that meets all of what is within our purview. And I think regardless of what the board decides to do, other powers that be at the town need to work through the drainage issues downtown.
I
Well, I would agree.
that's exactly, I mean, I think that's what I think. For us to do what we have to do. And
Mhm.
definitely not discrediting anything Mr. Morrow said at all. I think as we decide what to do, like we're not definitely.
All right, Mr. Morrow has his hand raised again, so I'll go to him again.
I had just one other question.
Sure.
Does this plan meet the storm drainage of today to be self-contained as of today? Or is the storm drainage gonna be another factor that's gonna overflow and go into everybody else's property as well? So I guess the question would be for Mr. Bemis, does this plan meet today's standard for storm drain self-containment?
I'm not sure what you mean by that definition, but we are in full compliance with Mass DEP guidelines for stormwater management. And as you know, Mr. Cundiff's memo was January 9th, 25, well after your site visit with him, where he confirmed that the site was properly designed and managed.
So I guess I'm not quite understanding. So the question is, does this meet today's storm drainage self-containment? It's either a yes or a no, I guess.
Yes, that's what I'm saying to you, is it is in compliance with the requirements.
Of up to today's standards.
Yes, I don't understand what you're trying to
Okay,
decipher
all right,
between.
that's, I just wanted to hear you say that.
Okay.
Okay, anything else, Mr. Morrow?
No, I think I've made you all aware of my concerns, and I hope that you'll take them into consideration in your decision.
Thank you. Well, I hope you know that I mean, we've at least deliberated on them, so we appreciate you bringing them forward and are listening. Thank you. Okay. So regardless of what we decide to do, I do think that the board should meet with Mr. Cundiff, or one of us should meet with Mr. Cundiff and just explain what was discussed today and see if there is a path forward, understanding that that is not within our purview, but I think it is incumbent upon us to make sure that we relay the information, and that hopefully the town will look into a solution. It sounds like it's a complex one, given that they just did work in that area. So does anybody want to make a suggestion on how we move forward or not on this? So I guess I'll say, I mean, I have a hard time not listening to an abutter who has some serious concerns, especially when there's a business in town that we want to make sure stays in town and you know, has been in town a long time. And obviously these concerns are not new and are not as a result of anything related to this parcel as of yet. I just think it's really important that we act upon what we are allowed to per the guidelines, and that our job is to enforce Title V and make sure that that is followed. So I'm having a hard time not supporting what Mr. Bemis has brought forward because it meets all of the regulations that have been that we're responsible to make sure are enforced.
Agree to that.
I agree as well.
Liz?
Yep, I'm in agreement.
Okay. So I'm going to go ahead, and we made two motions last time. I'm going to read the first one. So I move to approve the increased flow, which is based on historical information of prior use of 990 gallons per day to 880 gallons per day, utilizing the good flow system.
Second? Vote aye.
Gulick, aye.
And Malinowski's aye. All right, so then the next motion, and then I think it's understood between the board that somebody will go talk to Mr. Cundiff. Okay. And then the second motion that we took was conditional because of what Peter mentioned at the beginning of the hearing, that we had some items that we wanted to have included on the plans. So Dennis, I assume that those were made and that we can actually approve that plan and not do it conditionally at this point.
Yeah, the only thing I think now we don't just have to go back in, edit the plan to say this is the plan, not where the old plan dropped off or anything.
I
Just have it
understand.
as, you know, this is the actual plan that's approved and that they're gonna put in. You really don't need the notes, the original leach field.
Right.
I think that will bring up questions in the future,
I agree.
which you
I
probably don't
agree.
need.
But you could
so
vote,
yeah.
you could vote that this plan is showing the intent and that we could do a design
Correct.
plan that becomes the construction
Correct.
document.
Correct. So we can remove that from the plan. That way it'll be a plan to look at. This is approved plan. This is what you're going to put in tomorrow, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, with the edits.
Okay. So I'm going to move that we approve the proposed septic plan as presented for 2 East Main Street, including the historical information in regard to the flow, and that it will be updated to be able to be a construction plan in due time.
And second vote aye.
Liz
Zuluk, aye.
and Malinowski's aye. All right, and with that, I'm going to close the public hearing. So I move that we close the public hearing at 12:56. Is there a second?
Yep, second vote aye.
Zuluk, aye.
And Malinowski's aye. All right, thank you very much.
Very
Pete.
much. Appreciate it. Have a good day now.
You too. So we are an hour in and we have a decent amount left. Do you guys have a hard stop?
Yeah.
Do
At
I do
1?
o'clock.
Yeah.
All right, we need to do Taylor's review. So, um,
Are both of you a hard stop at 1?
I can give you like 2 extra minutes, 3 extra minutes. I mean, I have students.
No,
all
that's
right.
fine.
So, first, actually, let's do Dennis's contract because I need that done. So I sent you a red line draft of that. I sent it to Dennis. It had a few updates, dates. And then we did, as part of our budget, we did a cap, which was less than the budget amount that we had for last year. And it's, Dennis has not hit that amount in, at least since I've been involved. So it's a cap of 55,000. So does anybody have any questions or concerns on Dennis's contract?
No.
All right, Dennis, you good with that? Okay, so I move that we approve Dennis Costello's contract for FY26.
Second vote aye.
Zuluk, aye.
And Malinowski's aye. Okay, so then for Taylor's review, I didn't get a chance to put Safdar's comments in, but I'm just gonna share Liz's and my comments. And what I ended up doing, and I'll, if you guys are good with just giving me the authority to do this, then I'll just go ahead and do it before the end of the week, is I averaged out all of the individual components. So between exceptional, above exception, meets exceptions. And I just averaged them out between Liz and I in the final document. And then Safdar, once I get yours, I will just change any that need to be changed. But then if you can see here, I put the comments and then just the initials of who gave them. And then what I'll do is I'll have this one with all 3 of us built in, but then I'll include all the individual ones so that nothing gets lost, even though I just legit copied and pasted. But here are the goals from last year and the goals for this year that Taylor and I came up with together. And the conferences or professional development that she has, and then I added in the supervisor comments on performance for next year.
Great.
All right. So I don't think the purpose of this was for us to actually change anything because we all did it individually. But if you guys are comfortable with that, I can just send out the final product.
Yeah.
So that
Alrighty.
you have it. Okay. So are you guys good with accepting the performance review as presented, and that I have the authority to just do any administrative tasks to get it final? You guys good with that? Okay, so I move that we approve Taylor West's performance evaluation that all 3 board members contributed to, and that Ms. Malinowski has the authorization to finalize the document.
A second vote aye.
Zuluk, aye.
And Malinowski's aye. Okay. I think that's really what. Taylor, is there anything else that we have to do right now?
Can we just quickly go over Barbara's
Oh, sure.
business admin thing?
Yeah,
just so the board can.
Mhm.
So I got an email from Mr. Purple last week from him and the personnel board saying that they would take into consideration looking at positions for compensation review. So I did send something, a submittal for Barbara, and I just wanted the board to be aware of that so that they could review her job addendum that we approved last year for potential compensation.
okay.
I don't know, I don't know if the board wants to. If
So
you
it's
feel
my,
like you need
it's
to
my,
vote or no.
I think that personnel is looking at all the BAs.
Mm,
So I think that's great. And then if they need information from us, then Taylor, they can go to you, or if you need.
Yeah.
um,
Barbara and I found some comps. And so we have those readily available, but I just sent in the job description and updated addendum in my memo to personnel board. I did talk to Mr. Purple yesterday, and he said they were going to give the personnel board some objective data about those positions at a later meeting this month. He also said he didn't feel strongly either way if the board needed to vote, so I think it's fine if you don't want to take a position.
Okay, I think we should just see what happens with what they come up with.
Great. He
Um,
did say he got over 10 requests and most of them were BAs. So I know people have to go. So, but thank you. I just wanted to get that one in there.
okay, great. I'll send an email so that we can figure out our next meeting, okay? You guys good?
Yep.
Yep.
All right, I move to adjourn at 1:03.
Thank you. I second vote aye.
Look, thanks, Isaac.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good day.